Hey guys, welcome back to Hit Up Rugby League. Today we have another interview in store for you guys. We haven't had many in the past few weeks, but it's good to get an interview, especially with the Warriors homecoming this week. We've got a former Warrior and Michael Witt. How you going, Mike?
Hey, going good, thanks guys. Yourself?
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. So what we like to do at the start of every podcast, just to get to know our guests a bit better, we like to do a thing called the set of six. So I'm going to ask you 6 quick fire questions and you answer with what comes off the top of your head.
Done.
All right. If you could play with a player, past or present, that you didn't get to play with, who would you have played with?
Andrew Johns.
Favorite NRL team growing up?
Newcastle Knights.
What is your favorite vacation spot?
Oh, Bali. I like Bali. It's nice and easy.
Yeah, Bali's always a safe option. Who is your prediction to win the premiership in 2022?
Oh, very hard to go against the Panthers at the moment.
Yeah, they're a safe option. Who takes game 3 of Origin, Queensland or New South?
Queensland. I'd never back against Queensland.
I like this guy. And your favorite fast food?
Favorite fast food? I'm hot chips, man. As long as there are any hot chips, I'm all over that. With chicken salt, game on.
Not bad. Sweet. So we'll just go through some stuff. So one thing we like to ask a lot of people is their role models growing up. Like, was there someone you really base your game off growing up? You obviously just mentioned Andrew Johns. Is he someone that you were role model growing up?
Yeah, a little bit. A good mate of mine is Robbie O'Davis. He obviously played in the same Newcastle Knights team. He was from Toowoomba. So he basically, by watching Robbie, it let me know that someone from the small town could go ahead and play in the NRL. And I guess I was young and naive and just thought, okay, well, he did it, so I'm going to do it as well. And so he was someone that I tried to follow his path. He was a workaholic in terms of what he did on the training park. He was always training hard and doing extras. So I tried to sort of model myself on his professionalism. In terms of my position, probably Brad Fittler was one, Trent Barrett, Joey, and I also liked watching Matty Johns too. He was a little bit different to the rest. So yeah, I was a bit of a footy nut as a kid and was lucky enough to end up getting there and playing against some of those guys.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned Toowoomba, which is obviously where you grew up. How was it getting the scholarship from the Eels, and how was that transitioning to New South Wales?
Yeah, look, again, it was I was pretty naive. I've got 2 daughters now, and I moved away from home at 16 years old to go and live in Sydney, and thought it was just normal. My brother had already done that; he'd signed with the Eels and gone down there previously. So it was just something that I didn't really think of. There was no NRL path in Toowoomba, so I wanted to go to Sydney. But now that I've got 2 daughters, there's no way in hell I'd let them move out at 16. So it was different, but it's just one of those things. I knew I had to be down there to play in the best comp, and I was super excited to get down there as soon as I could.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned a brother. Quite a lot of people we've interviewed have had an older brother or older sibling that's like pushed them. Would you say that's the same with you with the competitive streak you guys probably had?
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm one of 3 boys. I'm in the middle. We're always, always outside, always kicking the footy, always playing cricket, always, throwing rocks or anything. We're always outside doing something, climbing trees. So, yeah, there's naturally that competitive stuff between your brothers. You always want to win. I guess, my older brother beat me in a lot of stuff when I was younger. So, yeah, you wanted to get there. But at the same time, when he went and moved to Sydney, I idolised him. I looked up to him and I just wanted to do what he did.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I saw an article on you doing boxing before your NRL career. How did that go?
Yeah, it was something that I loved. I loved boxing. As a kid, I boxed. I was an amateur boxer for a fair while. It got a bit busy, so I used to just do the boxing in the off-season. Something that I really enjoyed, and it sort of got to the stage where I was going to the Australian titles, and we had a footy trial game, and Dad sort of said, "Okay, mate, you got to pick which sport you want to go with. We're sort of at the stage where you can't do both. So, I was never going to do boxing as a career. But funnily enough, when I retired, I went and had a one professional fight, which was good. So I scratched that itch. But I'm a bit of a boxing nut. I love my fights.
Yeah. So going to your rugby league career, you obviously made your debut. What's that feel like? Some people say that gets hidden from the media that they're making their debut. What was the week leading into it like for you?
Yeah, I was named at number 18. Brian Smith was the coach at Parramatta at that time. So he told me straight away that I was playing, but he wanted to keep me out of the media and just name me at number 18. Didn't really work because they sort of knew straight away that I was playing. But we played against the previous year's premiers in the Sydney Roosters. And one of those guys that I mentioned before that I idolised was Brad Fittler, and he was opposing me on that one side of the field. So quite daunting. But he was telling all his forwards to run at Witt, and he thought I'd be disturbed by that. But the fact that Brad Fittler knew my name, I was pretty excited. So it didn't worry me too much. But I was just excited to be out there. I think we ended up getting towed up probably by about 35, 40 points. So it wasn't the best night out, but it's realising a dream, I guess.
It's probably a very tough circumstance to have your debut against the former premiers. What were your thoughts like going into the game?
There was obviously nerves. It was a Friday night game, so it was a big Channel 9 game. Just also being a halfback, you've got to get out there and boss players around and tell them what to do. And half of my fullback were internationals themselves, so quite daunting. But they sort of supported me through the whole process. And I mean, once you get out there and make your first tackle and have your first run, it's just another game of footy, really. But obviously a lot faster game of footy. But once you get into it, the nerves die off, and you just get after it.
Yeah, you mentioned daunting things. One thing, when I was never a professional or anything like that with you, but I was goal kicker for my team and absolutely hated it. You were obviously a goal kicker as well. What was that like, having to sometimes do a kick to win a game or something like that?
Yeah, it was something that I loved, to be honest with you. I loved that extra responsibility. I sort of, something that I always wanted to do, always wanted to be the goal kicker. The amount of times that I'd been in the front yard of the local park kicking and pretending I'm kicking to win a grand final or kicking to win a game, it's what I wanted. I think early in my career I played against the Warriors actually, and I missed 2 goals, and we ended up losing by 2 points, and I was devastated. They were goals that I should have kicked, and from that day forward I just thought, well, I'm not going to miss goals now from lack of practice. So I made sure, whilst I always practice, I just made sure I was really diligent with what I was doing. I think that was probably the last time the nerves actually got me. It was only my second NRL game. So they got me that day, and I sort of made a pact that they wouldn't get me again. And when those big moments arose, I wanted to go and get that ball as quick as I could and, hopefully get it over.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned that you were that you lost the game by 2 points after 2 missed goal kicks from yourself, and blaming yourself. Obviously, people wouldn't look at it that way. What do you have to say to goal kickers that may miss a kick and lose their team a game?
Yeah, look, it's one of those things where you've got to, when you miss an easy kick or you come up with a silly play, you've got to sort of brush it off and move on to your next one, because if you let it affect your game moving forward, it's only a hindrance. Actually, I coach a team here in the Gold Coast, and my guy missed a goal a couple of weeks ago to win us the game, and I basically went straight up to him and said, don't be too hard on yourself. Out of the 17 blokes we got in our team, you're the best kicker, and that's why we got you to take it. So those other 16 are still behind you, and you just need to keep working. It's one of those things that at some stage you're always going to miss a goal and lose. It's just part of it. But I tell you what, it makes those ones where you train your backside off and you nudge one over from the sideline to win a game, and that's a pretty special feeling.
Yeah, I read somewhere that you got coaching or mentoring from Socceroos manager Graham Arnold. Is that true? And what was that sort of like? It's a different sport, but sort of same principle.
Yeah, I did. I originally started working with Jason Taylor, who was a fabulous goal kicker at Parramatta. When I went to Manly, they had Graham Arnold there. Just what he was good at is he's just such a natural striker of the ball, and he could just watch you kick a ball and say, maybe move a little bit to your left. Or it wasn't, obviously a different shaped ball, but he was just a real natural striker in the arc of your swing of your leg. So he was good for me. He made a couple of really minor changes that I felt had me striking the ball and kicking a lot further probably, and not worrying about how far I had to kick. So he was great. He could put a footy down and just smash it, and it'd go miles and go straight through. So he was good. It's always good to get someone else's perspective. They're looking at you through a different lens. So he was real cool to work with.
I know we've talked a lot about goal kicking, and I'm going to continue that. So if you had to have one NRL player all time to kick to save your life, who are you picking?
Jeez, good question.
Pick yourself if you want.
No, I won't be like that. If I'm kicking for my own life, I'd rather be having a shot myself. But if I had to pick one other kicker, it'd be probably say Darryl Halligan. He was pretty epic what he did on the field. He kicked some big goals in his time. So I'd probably choose him.
Yeah. So from where I know you, obviously, is I'm a big Warriors fan. So obviously, you play for the Warriors for a bit. I was just wondering what it was like to be part of that successful era with guys like Steve Price, Ruben Wiki, Mannering, Vatuvai. What was that team like?
The best time of my career. Best time of my career. I loved New Zealand. I loved the team we had then. You mentioned Steve Price. I mean, Steve Price, I played all my junior footy with his younger brother. Steve Price was my coach when I was 8 years old. So to go full circle and play beside him was just, unbelievable. We had such a great team there. We had a really good mix of Aussies, Kiwis, Polynesian flair, some old Aussie nuts that would sort of keep us in line too. So it was, awesome team, bunch of great blokes, lifelong friends that I still keep in touch with today. And as I say, that's the most fond memories I have in my career of playing with that team at Mount Smart.
I'm sure you get asked this question a lot. So it was an infamous try that you scored where Manu was down the sideline and hit you. And then you scored in the corner, the old hand up, hand down. What was said after that try in the sheds?
Yeah, you're right. I do get asked that question a lot. To be honest, the boys sort of didn't really care. They thought it was funny. Steve Price is a bit old school. He was like, don't you ever do that again. But I didn't really notice, and I'll be totally honest with you, I just wanted to stand in the corner and waste the clock. And I didn't realise till I saw the replay that I actually put the ball up before I put it down. I thought I'd just placed it. But one of those things, it's gone down in history and all ended nicely. I felt like I had plenty of time. But don't get me wrong, if I would have dropped it, I would have, I'd be living in the back little island in Bali somewhere maybe and never seen again.
Another thing that's a person that's gone down history from that sort of era as well is continuing now is Ivan Cleary. What was he like, especially as a young coach for that Warriors side? Like everyone says great things about him. What was he like?
Yep. Yeah, I think he was a perfect coach for that team. He's a really smart guy, but he doesn't try and overcoach as well. He had a great knack of getting the best out of us and knowing what to do at the right time. He was, probably the best coach I ever had. Even though by the end he sacked me, but he's the best coach I ever had. I mean, he's you can see what he's doing now. He's having so much success with a squad and a program he's basically built from scratch. It's a shame that he ever left the Warriors, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that him being the coach of Panthers is one of the main reasons why they've turned around?
Yeah, certainly he's the one who's driving that. There's no doubt that there's some super talented players there, and they got a very rich junior program that a lot of those guys have come through. But he's got his fingerprints all over that side. I think his son's got a big part to play as well. Nathan's just been fantastic. He just plays like an old veteran halfback, and for such a young guy to do what he does, he's it's a credit to his ability and I guess the way he's coached by his dad.
Yeah, with the Penrith team, they obviously beat the Storm last year, and you guys did it a few times, and Cleary has an amazing record against the Storm. I was wondering, why do you think the Warriors, like back in the day, were so good against the Storm?
Yeah, you're right. We always had a good knack against the Storm. I think it's something that we always tried to pride ourselves on. Well, certainly when I was there, is Melbourne were seen as the team back then that wrestled a lot and they bullied you. We always tried to go with the idea that we weren't going to go down there and be bullied. And we weren't going to go down there beaten before we got on the park, which I think a lot of teams do. They go to Melbourne and think Melbourne's a tough game. We're happy if we get close. We certainly never did that. And we had a good team. I think offloads certainly helped against Melbourne. They had a very structured defence and they could put a lot of pressure on. But I thought that unstructured play that we could come up with, created a few problems for them.
Yeah, for sure. Also in your career, you went over to Super League and played for the Crusaders and the London Broncos. How was that NRL?
Yeah, it's definitely a different game to the NRL. It's a lot more open. It's a lot more high scoring. You shift the ball around a lot more. I guess it's really about completions and stuff like that. In the NRL, it's a lot more, I would say, structured. Over there in the UK, you sort of throw the ball around a bit, and we loved our time over there. I did four seasons in the UK, so loved it. One thing you don't get used to is the weather over there, which is pretty crazy. The first game I ever had over there was bloody snowing, so I was certainly rethinking what the hell am I doing over here when your first game's snowing. But outside of that, man, we loved it.
Yeah, what was it like living in London? Were you living in London?
Yeah, we lived in London. We lived in a place called Surbiton, which is sort of in Kingston, Surrey. I mean, you're only sort of 15 minutes, 20 minutes away from Wimbledon. You're a short ride in the tube into the middle of London, which is just such an unbelievable city to live in. To be able to jump on the tube and travel in and be around the Eye and all those landmarks that you see all the time, you kind of, you got to scratch yourself. I mean, now we think about it, me and my wife, that it's just amazing that we live there. Sort of where you take it for granted a little bit. My youngest daughter was born in London, so we'll always have affinity with the place. But absolutely amazing city, yeah.
What I've noticed is that a lot of NRL players that can barely get a crack in a first grade side go over to Super League and they just absolutely carve up, like Jake Mamo, Joe Field, he's been killing it for Wigan. Do you think that is not easier, but it's like there's less talent over there?
Yeah, the NRL is the best rugby league competition in the world, without a doubt. There's probably, I would say, probably 3-4 teams maybe in the Super League that could sort of match it week in, week out with NRL teams. But there's no doubt that the Super League is inferior to the NRL. And you're right, there's guys that are just on the fringe, playing a few NRL games here that can go over there and do some good stuff. As I say, it's a different brand of footy as well, which lends itself to different players. Like Jai Field, I think is perfect. One that you've just mentioned there, what he does over there, he's so fast and elusive and he moves around a lot. So it's that sort of game over there suits him, I think.
Yeah. So you've obviously lived in some great places over the years, like London, Sydney. Is Otago on the list of really warm places?
Otago, wow. I mean, it's such a beautiful place. I mean, beautiful beaches and beautiful scenery and stuff, but it is so bloody cold there. Like, it's ridiculous. And then I always say this, when you go over to England and you're living in houses, they understand that it's cold. It's all double brick. It's all got heating and it's all nice. It's like when they built houses in Otago, in Dunedin, that they didn't know it was cold. Like, they're all timber little shacks. And I remember sitting in our house in Dunedin and breathing like smoke because of how cold it was. And man, I played a rugby union one day there, and I was playing fullback, and it was freezing. We played in the game right on the beach. So it was blowing, it was raining. I had to come off with about 15, 20 minutes to go because I couldn't stop shaking. I was getting like hypothermia. So it's just a place that's beautiful, but geez, yeah, it's cold, far out.
Would you say that's your least favourite place that you've played in your career?
At least that I've actually played. Yeah, some of the days there. Because the thing that the thing that's different about rugby union as well is that you play local club rugby. So when you're not playing Super 15 or you're not playing provincial rugby, you go back and play club rugby. So my first club rugby game, I was playing against 2 All Blacks because I'm thinking, what the hell are we doing playing club rugby? This doesn't make sense to me. Seems like you go to old dingy fields that are all sloppy, but then you got 2 All Blacks in the team against you. And Adam Thompson was the 7 for that team that was playing against me. He tortured me all day. And I played against heaps of All Blacks in club rugby. So it's just a different model of the game. So yeah, test that's for sure.
Yeah. You were talking about differences. What did you find like playing the 2 differences between union and league? Obviously, there's more players and stuff, but how did you find the 2?
Yeah, it's you're right. There's a lot of similarities, but I think once you get entrenched in rugby, you realise how different it is as well. Run different lines. I remember tackling someone and getting cleaned out of a ruck and getting pulled up in video, and the coach said, "What are you doing? What are you doing there?" I said, "I was trying to steal the ball." And he said to me, "What number are you wearing on your back?" And I was like, 10. He goes, "Exactly. I don't ever want to see my 10 in there again." I was like, "Okay." So I'd just make a tackle and get out of the road. But it's just different. Players are different, cultures are different. Every time you get a penalty in rugby, you kick for goal. Or in rugby league, you sort of play a bit more footy.
Yeah, for sure. Did you watch much rugby before you started playing? Like, are you a fan of rugby to watch in general?
I watch a little bit. I mean, I always liked to watch the All Blacks and the Bledisloe, the big games. I wouldn't say I'd watch a hell of a lot of rugby. No, I don't. I certainly enjoy rugby league a lot more. Rugby, I feel the big games, the test matches are good to watch, but I don't watch too much rugby outside of that, no.
Yeah. And what was it like coming back to league? So obviously you did league, union, then league. What was that? Was it just sort of like riding a bike again, or was it tough to adjust back to it?
Yeah, no, I didn't really find it tough to adjust. It was like you say, just like riding a bike. I mean, I played since I was 4 years old playing rugby league, so it was just natural for me to get back into rugby league. I mean, I enjoyed my time in rugby union. The coach I had there was a bit of a clown, so we sort of butted heads a little bit at the end, and so it sort of didn't really go to plan. But there was when I was in the UK, when I was over there, I signed to go and play for Leeds Carnegie Rugby Union as well, but it sort of fell through in the end with visa issues. But yeah, it was a game that I enjoyed, and I felt like a lot of the attributes in my game that I was better at lent to being a good rugby union player, but it just wasn't to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked a lot about your footy career, and you've said before that you coach a local team. What else does your day consist of these days, career after football?
Yeah, I coach a little bit here. I coach the Melbourne Inga Cup at the Burleigh Bears, and I help out with the A grade as well. But my main job is a real estate agent. I sell real estate here on the Gold Coast, based in Burleigh Heads. So that's my day-to-day work. I've got 2 daughters now. They both play basketball. So we've always got something on. It's work, basketball or footy at the moment. So keeps us nice and busy. But yeah, love it.
And when you're watching NRL games now, who's the team that you support the most? Is it the Warriors? Is it the Eels? Is it the Knights? Who would you say you support the most?
Yeah, no, Warriors, definitely. Definitely the Warriors. I love my Warriors. I'm good friends with Mark Robinson, who obviously owns the club. He used to live a few doors up from me here in Broadbeach. So, good mate. I love the club. I want to see him do well. And I think Robbo in charge, I want to see him be successful too, because he wears his heart in his sleeve. He's put a lot into the club, both financially and emotionally. So I want to see him go well. And I'm so excited to see him back at Mount Smart this week. I mean, it's such a long time away from home, and I'm actually envious of the players because I've played at Mount Smart when it's sold out and pumping. They're going to be in for an awesome atmosphere. I'm sure they'll be up for a big game.
Yeah, we're actually going to that this weekend. We're all pretty excited.
Yeah.
I went to the Tonga one last week, and that atmosphere is just different. The Tongan atmosphere is ridiculous, man.
Yeah, yeah. Are they having? I remember when we did it, they called it a blackout. Everyone wore black because obviously our jerseys were black at the time. Are they doing that this year? They tell you to wear colours or?
No, I think
I
because there's
don't.
so many different jerseys. So there's a blue
Yeah,
one, so probably not.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
know. You go broke trying to own all the Warriors jerseys, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm envious. It'll be good.
I'm obviously a Cowboys fan, as you see by my jersey. What do you reckon of their year and their turnaround this year?
Mate, they've been super impressive, haven't they? I think Todd Payton's done amazing things up there. Obviously, when he took over the Warriors, he was a very good coach. So he's done some amazing things up there. The footy they're playing at the moment, I mean, you can't rule them out. They'll be there in the big games. A player like a Ruben Cotter is someone that I watch him play and I just think, wow, like he's only a little dude. He's fast. He's tough. He reminds me of Michael Luck, who played with us at the Warriors, and he's now the football manager up there as well. So he reminds me of Lucky. He's just a bit faster than Lucky, but tough as nails, and he puts his head where you wouldn't put your feet. He's one of those guys you'd love to have in your team.
Yeah, and with like the new sort of rules, it definitely suits him, the 6 agains and stuff like that. Are you a fan of those? And I think you would have done well with the new rules.
Yeah, it certainly changed the game. There's no doubt about that. And you're right. I probably would have been good for my game. It's good for the little guys. It brings fatigue back into the game. Usually the little guys are the fitter ones and can continue to run, and you've got big boys in the middle that are working so hard. So they're under fatigue, and that creates opportunities for the smaller players. So I went through unlimited interchange into 12 interchanges. So the less interchanges for the little guys, the better. So yeah, it's made the game exciting. There's definitely some positives and negatives of it, but overall, yeah, I like the rules.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've mentioned all the teams that you've played for, obviously Melbourne, Manly, Eels, Warriors, and then you retired at Dragon. How was your retirement year? You suffered that, dislocated shoulder? How was it getting over?
Yeah, my first game back in the NRL, I dislocated my shoulder. I was lucky enough to score a try, and I was kind of got a bit greedy, tried to get try number 2, and I went up in the air to catch the ball, and someone choked me and sort of threw me down. I landed on my shoulder, so it popped my shoulder. But I only had about 2 weeks off and went back and started playing again. And then we signed Benji Marshall. The coach got the sack. So he said to me, I want you to play a game in reserve grade, and I want you to play, because I just want you to test your shoulder out. I want you to play hooker next week off the bench. So that was the plan. But about 2 minutes into the game, I did my ACL. So that pretty much obviously finished my season. So I went straight in and got what did I get done first? I got my knee done. Did my ACL. And then the day I got off my crutches, I went back into surgery and got my shoulder done. So that obviously finished my year. But, in saying that, once I did my knee, I was literally laying on the doctor's bed after the game. Come up to me and said, can you be the assistant coach for the rest of the year? So it sort of pushed me out of a little rut because I stayed involved and still did a bit with footy. So, mate, it just it is what it is. It was everything was meant to be for me. Like I got injured that year twice, 2 big injuries. My eldest daughter was about to start school the next year. So everything sort of just fell into the right time. And I think it was the right time for me to retire.
Yeah. So a few more things that we asked this to a lot of the people that have finished up their careers. What's one tip you would give to someone that wants to make it to the NRL one day?
Ask questions. Always ask questions. I find when you're talking to a lot of young guys, a coach will say, do you understand? And they go, yep, got it. But I don't think they actually do. The no question is a silly question. So always ask questions. But the other thing is, don't think you're going to make it just by doing the training that everybody else does. You've got to go and do extra training. You've got to find something that gives you an edge, because there's thousands and thousands of players that want to make it to the NRL, and they're training just, with their footy team, you've got to go and try and do something else, look after your body in terms of, whether that's getting bigger and stronger or faster or fitter or just looking after your rehab. And you've got to be able to do those little extras to make it, I think. Well, most people do, at least.
Yeah, for sure. Another career path that everyone thought you were going to follow. Obviously, you're not a bad-looking guy. You did a bit of modelling. How did you enjoy that?
Thank you very much. Weird. It wasn't certainly my natural environment, man. My management company at the time, said, "Do you want to do this?" It was a cover for a magazine. I was like, "No, that's not me." And then it was some stuff for charity, and it was a breast cancer. One was for breast cancer, and one was for Indigenous youth. And I was like, "No, I'm not doing that." And I remember speaking to my wife. Said, "They want me to get my gear off," and she's like, "It's for charity. Do it. You got to do it. You're going to be big and fat and slow and sloppy one day." So, it'd be good to look back and see you, Nick. So, did it. Wasn't comfortable doing it. Didn't enjoy it that much, but it is what it is.
So if a charity thing came up for like boxing or something now, would you be keen to do it, or is that ship sailed?
100%. No, 100%. I was talking to Monty Beetham there a few weeks ago about exactly that. So it's something that, you never say never. You always have that inner athlete that wants to push yourself, and I think it's good to get yourself out of your comfort zone and out of that environment that you just sort of fall into a rut. So I train pretty much every day, just sort of, nothing crazy. Just keep myself moving, because obviously with injuries, you need to sort of have a bit of muscle mass to look after old injuries. But yeah, certainly if there was a charity fight that come up, I'd be pumped. Well, it depends who I'm fighting. If I'm not fighting Monty, I've told him that. I said, there's no way in the world. There's one bloke that I wouldn't fight, and that'd be Monty Beetham. But outside of that, I reckon it'd be pretty fun.
There's obviously the Fight for Life coming up.
Yeah.
Want to make a call out?
A call out? No, I do not want to make anyone call out. But I was talking to Monty about potentially getting on there, but it didn't sort of come to fruition. But maybe one day I'll be able to travel over and get in the Fight for Life. I love it. I think it's awesome. I think it's a great concept. Obviously, ex-footballers getting in, they're not too worried about the actual sweet science of boxing. They're going to get in there and go hell for leather. So it's super exciting to watch too. But hopefully Monty gets in touch soon and we can organise one. That'd be cool.
Sweet, something to look forward to. Thanks, Michael, for coming on. That was really, really fun. I think you enjoyed it as well, Connor.
Yeah, of course. It's always good having a guest on, and you've been great to chat to. So thank you very much for your time. Yeah,
champion boys, you're doing a great job. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Go the Warriors, and good luck for your boxing fight soon.
Just go the Warriors. Let's just leave it at go.
Yeah.